Hi, it's so good to see you again. Hello. Yeah, sure.
Do the same.
All right. Well, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today at police headquarters here in the great city of Miami. I'm Senator Ashley Moody. It is always an honor to be back down in Miami, in my home state, working with folks I spent years in the trenches with as Florida's Attorney General. And today's announcement certainly is a continuation of the efforts that and the long, hard work that we all put in battling illicit substances, specifically the rise of synthetic opioids and the devastation that fentanyl caused across this nation, but also right here in Florida. As Attorney General, certainly working hand in hand, not only with our law enforcement partners, but with our substance abuse providers, with our first responders, aiding them with the life-saving drug naloxone, Florida really set the stage for how to effectively deal with this crisis. In fact, we saw our numbers drop in terms of overdose deaths at a faster clip than the national rate. And we really did this by focusing not just on our interdiction efforts. And of course, we led the way in that regard. We made sure we were giving law enforcement agencies the resources they needed to really drill down and interdict fentanyl when we saw a surge of it coming into the nation, especially when the border broke down, the southern border under the last administration. We really put additional assets out there, made sure we were reimbursing time and other things that went into those interdiction efforts. And I was proud to say we led the nation in interdiction efforts as it related to fentanyl. But that was just one part of it. Law enforcement can only do so much. And I was so proud of our Florida law enforcement that worked with federal partners, that stemmed the tide during those years and is still doing that day to day. But we also focused on making sure people knew where to go to get help, where to go to get the naloxone, the life-saving drug naloxone, especially family members who had loved ones that were addicted to drugs. So I was so proud of what we were able to do here in Florida. We also brought really historic actions against opioid manufacturers, distributors, manufacturers, distributors, and pharmacies to make sure we were getting resources in to address those that were suffering in that crisis. And I'm so proud of this state. But what we're seeing, as we saw on day one of the Trump administration, some really aggressive efforts to shore up the border, to make sure we were stemming the tide of that trafficking coming over the border. We're seeing new and novel ways that some of these illicit substances were being made. If you'll remember, at one point we warned, when we said one pill can kill, we warned that many of the counterfeit pills we were seeing on the streets were being laced with a lethal dose of fentanyl. We are still seeing about 5 out of the 10 counterfeit pills have a lethal dose of fentanyl. And that's having an effect on our streets, even with our children. I can tell you, as a mother, of a teenager, we know that many of our young people around this nation are taking pills thinking they are one thing, and it turns out they are a deadly dose of poison. That's why some of my team call these counterfeit pills murder pills, because they're more likely to kill you than to be something that legitimate that you think that you're taking. And so the danger of these counterfeit pills isn't new. We always warned one pill can kill. We put out resources on a Dose of Reality campaign to make sure children, parents, communities were aware. And counterfeit pills are pressed to look like legitimate medicines. Sometimes kids may think that they're taking Adderall or Xanax, Molly, Sometimes these kids think it's that, but it's actually laced with fentanyl. And I think you'll hear a story from one of our law enforcement officials today. But the pill press machines that make these counterfeit pills, they can make up to 5,000 counterfeit pills per hour. The larger ones can produce 15,000 pills per hour. Pill press parts are smuggled through ports and customs. They're often labeled as furniture parts or machine spare parts, and then they are assembled here and used to mass produce these counterfeit pills. Sometimes when law enforcement is trying to track down what caused an overdose, they might roll into a place and find a counterfeit pill machine. And we need to make sure that that pill machine that is used to make these illicit, dangerous drugs is illegal. These things are being seized and encountered all across the country. And so as Florida's newest United States Senator, you can imagine, having been on the front lines of this crisis and working with law enforcement so closely, having been the wife of a longtime DEA agent and law enforcement official, it's so important to me that we close gaps, that we talk to our law enforcement officials, we see where we can do better, how we can strengthen our laws, and then we actually get that done. And so today I am announcing the introduction of the PRESS Act, which will create criminal penalties for the unlawful importation of pill presses. It will also allow for the criminalization of precursor synthetic drugs that go into these counterfeit pills. We know that these pills are dangerous. We've been warning kids about it. We know some kids get them from social media, and even kids that their parents don't even know they're using social media to get access to these pills. We've been warning for a long time, and this is just one more way we're going to be able to stop fentanyl from taking the lives of those in our communities. So first and foremost, let me begin by saying, parents, family members of those that may be addicted, I urge everyone, spread the word. Do not take anything unless it is prescribed to you by a doctor, because these days that choice is most likely to be a deadly choice, because these counterfeit pills are laced with dangerous drugs. And I can give you example after example after example of kids and others that have taken these counterfeit pills and have been poisoned and have died as a result. And so today's announcement of the PRESS Act and the introduction of this new tool that's being supported by DEA and all of our law enforcement groups around the nation, it will go a long way to making sure we are closing these gaps in enforcement laws, and we're allowing our law enforcement officers to do their jobs and get these counterfeit pill press machines off the streets. So I appreciate you being here with me today. I know there's a lot of folks that would like to talk to you, and so I'm going to let them come back up now, and then I will come back up for questions. So without further ado, we'll bring up Chief Morales.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, everyone, for being here. An incredibly timely issue. As the Senator mentioned, she has been a longtime fighter to make things better here in Florida. Now she's taking it to the national stage. I, for one, I'm incredibly grateful to her. And I'll share with you how it has impacted Miami and the Miami Police Department, and how important the PRESS Act is at this time. You can remember that back in 2025, at one of our music festivals here in the city, we tragically lost a young life. We lost Jenny Lee. Jenny Lee came to have a good time. Jenny Lee came to share with her friends. Jenny Lee came to enjoy everything that Magic City has to offer. And she lost her life due to unknown compounds that were inside of a pill that was made with a press. She did not know what she was taking. That was abundantly clear during the investigation, and it tragically cost her life. Like the Senator said, we urge all our residents, all our citizens, do not engage in this behavior. You have no idea what folks are putting in those pills that you're getting a hold of in an illicit manner. The life you could save is your own. So I appreciate everybody for coming here. We have seen overdose death in South Florida, in Miami-Dade County, and in the city of Miami being reduced drastically over the last 5 years. That is part of what you see here today, the incredible collaboration and the effort of working together, the sense of partnership we have in here, and the deep desire that we have to keep our community safe. So I'd like to invite from the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, Under Sheriff Chris Carruthers, to share a few words.
So good morning. I'm Under Sheriff Chris Carruthers here on behalf of Sheriff Rosie. I'd like to thank Senator Ashley Moody for inviting us to join today's important announcement, introducing Senate Companion to the Preventing Rogue Equipment for Synthetic Substances, or PRESS Act. Senator Moody, you have been a relentless advocate in the fight against illegal drugs. So thank you. Thank you very much. The Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office stands united in support of the PRESS Act, an essential step forward in confronting one of the most dangerous and rapidly evolving threats we face, which is the spread of synthetic drugs. Here in Miami-Dade County and across the nation, we continue to witness the devastating impact of illicit substances like fentanyl and other synthetic compounds, as the senator mentioned. These drugs are not only highly addictive, they are lethal. A single exposure can take a life. Behind these substances lies a sophisticated and expanding criminal network that depends on specialized equipment to manufacture, process, and distribute synthetic drugs at scale. The PRESS Act directly targets that pipeline. The PRESS Act provides law enforcement with crucial tools to disrupt these operations, and by regulating and restricting access to equipment commonly used in the illicit production of these synthetic substances, we can intervene before these drugs reach our streets. This is about prevention. It's about stopping tragedy before it occurs. This legislation also sends a clear and powerful message to those who profit from poisoning our communities. You will be held fully accountable under the law. The Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office remains committed to a comprehensive strategy of enforcement, education, and prevention. Although we do a lot to combat criminal drug activity in Miami-Dade County, we can't do it alone. As Chief Morales just mentioned, we have a very strong collaborative network in South Florida to go after these types of crimes. And legislation like the PRESS Act is vital to staying ahead of those who seek to exploit and harm. Senator Moody, thank you again for your partnership and for standing on the front lines of this fight. And to our community in Miami-Dade, we will continue working tirelessly to keep you safe, to protect our families, and to ensure that those who threaten our neighborhoods are brought to justice. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you to Senator Ashley Moody for your leadership on this critical issue, and to our partners in law enforcement for the work you do every day to keep our communities safe. We are here because the opioid crisis continues to devastate families across Florida and our nation. Behind every statistic is a life lost, a family grieving, and a community forever changed. Illegal pill mills and bad actors who exploit addiction for profit have no place in the state of Florida. Today's legislation sends a clear message. Florida will not tolerate those who endanger lives for financial gain. This proposal strengthens the tools our law enforcement officers need to identify, investigate, and shut down these operations. It ensures greater accountability, enhances coordination, and helps prevent these dangerous substances from reaching our neighborhoods. But this is not just about enforcement. It's about protecting people. It's about prevention, intervention, and making sure those struggling with addiction have a pathway to recovery and hope. I am proud to stand by Senator Moody, the Fraternal Order of Police, and support of this effort. Together, we are taking steps to save lives and safeguard the health and safety of Floridians. Thank you, and God bless.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ralph Rosado. I'm City Commissioner for District 4 in the City of Miami. I want to thank Senator Moody for bringing attention to the Fight Illicit Pill Presses Act. This is exactly the kind of proactive and bipartisan effort that we need in order to save lives. In Miami, we're very much on the front lines in terms of the fentanyl crisis. Counterfeit pills are devastating families, and way too often, people don't even realize what they're taking. This legislation targets the source, the pill presses and the equipment used to mass produce these deadly counterfeits. This is really smart policy. If you disrupt production, you prevent tragedy before it starts. I'm going to say that again. If you're able to disrupt production, you can prevent tragedy before it starts. We believe in strong, effective law enforcement, but also in giving our officers the tools they actually need in order to succeed. This bill helps reduce the burden on our police by stopping these drugs even earlier in the pipeline. Our residents, they don't want rhetoric, they want results. They want safer neighborhoods, they want to be free from overdoses, they want real accountability for those fueling this crisis. While some talk about law enforcement after the fact, we're focused on prevention and smarter strategies ahead of time, so we can keep these dangerous substances off of first place. I want to stand here with Senator Moody and all leaders across who understand that public safety requires action, it requires coordination, and it requires a willingness to confront these kinds of challenges head on. Miami will continue to lead with solutions that protect our community, and we will continue to support the men and women who are working every single day to keep us safe. Thank you.
You know, the City of Miami Police are celebrating their 130th anniversary this year, and we are so proud of them. We wish them all the best in this great year, and really the long history that they've had in protecting their residents. And this is just another example when we reached out and have been working on some of these issues. I just want to thank your chief. He's been very enthusiastic and proactive and wanting to be a part of this effort, as really all of our law enforcement across the state of Florida. Very proud. Florida heroes are the finest in the nation. And as a Floridian, you should be really proud of the men and women who have signed up to wear a badge. I know that I am, and you should be. In addition, we have with us some other great folks up here. I also wanted to welcome them. We very much appreciate them being here today. They love this community. You hear it every time I meet with them. They are always first in line to tell me when there's an issue, telling me how I could be helpful and better serve. And I'm so honored to have them as friends, and I appreciate them being here today. So I would be happy to take any